with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz formally designates Mafaro Lagoon, located in Alif Alif Atoll, as part of Ferido Island. The reclassification issued by presidential decree is intended to strengthen Ferido's economic foundation and deliver on a central campaign promise. The decree was enacted under Section 134A of the Decentralization Act. With its issuance, the appendix defining inhabited islands in the Maldives has been amended to reflect the lagoon's inclusion within Ferido's jurisdiction. According to the President's office, the update has been published in the Government Gazette. During a visit to the atoll in August, President Muiz first announced his intention to reassign the lagoon. In meetings with Ferido residents, he outlined plans to develop the area for local tourism and public recreation. Government officials say the move aligns with the administration's broader strategy to promote decentralized development and generate sustainable income for island communities. The president also presented a slate for infrastructure projects tailored to Ferido's long-term needs. Among them are the construction of a police station, expansion of school facilities, a new health center, a boatyard, and a designated picnic area. Implementation contracts for several of these initiatives have already been awarded. Additional commitments include resolving access issues at the harbor entrance, building new sports facilities, and overseeing the development of a mosque designed to accommodate 500 people. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz announces a major policy shift that will allow city and island councils across the country to pay domestic electricity rates for public lighting beginning on the 1st of January 2026. The measure is intended to ease financial pressures on local administrations and reinforce the country's decentralized governance framework. The directive, shared via the President's official X account, instructs utility providers Fenaka Corporation and the State Electric Company Limited, or STELCO, to apply the lower domestic tariff to electricity used for lighting roads and other public spaces. Councils are currently billed at higher rates designated for government agencies. The President said that the resulting savings would allow local governments to redirect funds toward essential municipal services. The President's office described the initiative as part of a broader effort to strengthen the financial autonomy of local councils. For years, many councils have struggled to meet payment obligations due to steep electricity bills. Until now, only mosques have qualified for domestic electricity rates. The announcement follows a series of recent steps by the administration of President Muiz to expand local governance capacity. On the 5th of September, the President proposed doubling the budget allocation for Women's Development Committees, or WDCs, with the increase slated for inclusion in the State Budget 2026. Plans are also underway to revise the fiscal formula used to calculate block grants for local councils. The current system, which often disadvantages smaller populations, will be updated to account for the physical size of each island. The revised formula is expected to be incorporated into the 2026 budget proposal. In addition, the Ramlan allowance for WDC members will be formally integrated into council budgets. The Maldives participates in the 60th regular session of the United Nations Human Rights Council, which opened Monday in Geneva, Switzerland. The session, running from the 8th of September to the 8th of October, brings together representatives from 47 member states to address global human rights challenges and strengthen international cooperation. Volker Turk, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, opened the session with a comprehensive address outlining the state of human rights worldwide. The Maldives, in a statement issued by its Ministry of Foreign Affairs, affirmed its commitment to contributing substantively to the Council's work. In line with its national priorities, the delegation will deliver statements under several agenda items and participate actively in drafting and presenting resolutions. Among its key contributions, the Maldives will introduce a new resolution focused on the impact of sea level rise on the full and effective enjoyment of human rights. The delegation will also present the triennial resolution addressing the role of prevention in promoting and protecting human rights according to the Foreign Ministry. Representing small island developing states or SIDS, the Maldives will deliver a joint statement under the agenda item on technical assistance and capacity building. This intervention highlights the unique vulnerabilities faced by island nations and their need for targeted support within the human rights framework. As a member of the Non-Aligned Movement and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Maldives will join collective statements raising concern over the increasing prevalence of human rights violations. In its national capacity, the country will address a range of critical issues, placing particular emphasis on the humanitarian crisis in Palestine. The delegation is also scheduled to engage in the interactive dialogue with the special reporter on the situation in Myanmar. Leading the delegation is Dr. Salma Rashid, permanent representative of the Maldives to the United Nations office in Geneva. In her role as Vice President of the Human Rights Council representing the Asia-Pacific Group, Dr. Rashid will also preside over several council meetings during the session. The Human Rights Council, established as an intergovernmental body within the United Nations system, is tasked with promoting and protecting human rights globally. It addresses violations and formulates recommendations for corrective action. The Maldives continues to serve as an active member of the Council, with its current term concluding in 2025. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Saud Islamic University of Saudi Arabia donates 64,000 books to Islamic libraries across the Maldives, reinforcing the educational and diplomatic ties between the two nations. The donation, presented during a formal ceremony at the Islamic Center in Malé, marks a significant contribution to the Maldives' educational and cultural landscape. The books were handed over by Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the Maldives, Yahya Hassan Al-Qahtani, and Dr. Saleh bin Sulaiman Al-Araja, director of the university. Receiving the donation on behalf of the government was Dr. Muhammad Shahim Ali Saeed, Minister of Islamic Affairs. Speaking at the event, Minister Shahim described the donation as a reflection of the fraternal relations between the two countries. He noted that the initiative affirms Saudi Arabia's commitment to supporting students and researchers in the Maldives and to fostering intellectual growth rooted in Islamic tradition. The minister also acknowledged the role of the university's local affiliate, the Institute of Islamic and Arabic Sciences, in facilitating the donation. His remarks extended to the Saudi government with specific recognition of King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and senior officials of the Saudi embassy in Malé. Ambassador Al-Qahtani and Director Al-Araja addressed the gathering as well, each highlighting the importance of scholarly collaboration and the enduring ties between the two nations. To honor the contribution, the Islamic Affairs Ministry presented a commemorative certificate to Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Saud Islamic University. The ministry described the donation as a significant step forward in its broader initiative to establish Islamic libraries throughout the country. It is also expected to support the fulfillment of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's pledge to expand access to Islamic educational resources. The Maldives holds its inaugural Social Dialogue Conference 2025, a one-day summit convened to confront long-standing challenges in the nation's employment and construction sectors. The gathering marks a significant milestone in the country's labor reform efforts following the ratification of the Industrial Relations Act in 2024. Opening the conference, Dr. Ali Haider Ahmed, Minister of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, called for public safety to be recognized as a national obligation. Addressing attendees, he stressed the importance of balancing institutional progress with the protection of society at large. The event brought together a wide spectrum of stakeholders, including representatives from the Ministry of Labor, the United Nations International Labor Organization or ILO, the Tripartite Labor Advisory Board, and various entities from the industrial and construction sectors. It was the first time such a coalition had convened under the framework of the new legislation. Participants engaged in a comprehensive review of the current state of labor across the country. Discussions centered on identifying the most pressing issues faced by workers and exploring collaborative solutions through structured dialogue. Minister Haider outlined a national vision that prioritizes secure working conditions, peaceful resolutions of disputes, and expanded opportunities for youth through targeted skills development. He also highlighted the role of social cohesion and business growth in achieving broader institutional goals. Progress under the Industrial Relation Law was highlighted, with the minister noting the strengthening of regulatory bodies, including the Tripartite Advisory Board. He cited the launch of a joint program with the ILO aimed at supporting workers and confirmed that revisions to the national minimum wage are currently underway. The conference forms part of a wider initiative to safeguard workers' rights and foster a resilient employment ecosystem. Central to this effort is the Tripartite Labor Advisory Board, a 10-member body operating under the Labor Ministry, which continues to play a pivotal role in shaping policy and practice. The Maldives Correctional Service marked a milestone with the graduation of its inaugural cohort from the Certificate 1 in Basic Correctional Officers Training Program. Addressing the newly qualified officers, Commissioner of Prisons Hassan Zarir delivered a pointed appeal for integrity, urging them not to compromise their professional responsibilities for personal financial gain, specifically urging officers never to trade their professional integrity for personal financial benefit. Of the 27 officers who enrolled in the program, 22 completed the training. Commissioner Zarir reminded them that the ceremony did not signify the end of their education, but rather the beginning of a profound responsibility. He described correctional officers as custodians of safety, education, and justice, highlighting their indispensable role within the national justice system. The training program, accredited at Level 1 under the Maldives National Qualifications Framework by the Maldives Qualifications Authority, is structured across 4 modules. It is designed to equip recruits with the essential skills and responsibilities required for service in correctional facilities. During his address, Commissioner Zarir outlined the officers' core duties, ensuring the safety and welfare of both staff and inmates, and upholding the dignity and rights of those incarcerated. He called on the graduates to maintain moral fortitude throughout their careers and to foster a deep sense of devotion to Islam and national identity. The ceremony held on Sunday evening also recognized individual excellence. Prison Private Ibrahim Nasir was named Best All-Round Officer. Prison Private Shahmad Shamim and Prison Private Aishat Imsha Arif received honors as the fittest male and fittest female officers, respectively. The Ivory Platoon was awarded Best Platoon among the graduating group. To formally induct the officers into their roles, Magistrate Shifna Ahmad Sadiq of the Mafushi Magistrate Court, Kaf Atoll, administered the official oath, including the evening with a reaffirmation of the duty and service. Island Aviation Services Limited, or IASL, operator of the national airline Maldivian, commences construction of its new headquarters in Male, bringing to a close a 25-year wait for a unified base of operations. The groundbreaking ceremony, held on the company's Raverige plot in Mafan Ward, marks a pivotal moment in its efforts to streamline operations and reduce overhead. The 12-story office complex is scheduled for completion by December 2026. It will occupy the intersection of Majidi Magu and Borutakurfan Magu, the site of IASL's former head office. The senior government officials and company executives gathered to inaugurate the project, which IASL described as a special day in its history. Among those in attendance were Muhammad Amin, Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Dr. Abdullah Muttalib, Minister of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure, Abdul Mateen Muhammad, Managing Director of Male Water and Sewerage Company, or MWSC, Ibrahim Ilyas, Managing Director of IASL, Ali Salim, Deputy Managing Director, and members of the company's board. Employees also participated in formally initiating the physical phase of construction. The new facility is intended to consolidate IASL's departments, which are currently spread across 5 separate buildings in Male, with additional units operating from the airport. The company cited significant rental costs as a key concern, noting that centralizing operations under one roof would yield substantial financial relief. Plans for the building include a basement level designated for employee parking and a first floor housing a ticketing office. Upper levels will accommodate administrative and operational functions. The structure will span 4,745 square feet and is envisioned as a modern, spacious facility equipped with contemporary amenities. Construction has been awarded to Hunan No. 6 Engineering Company of China. IASL expressed confidence that the new headquarters will enhance service delivery and strengthen its organizational capacities. Japan's stocks surges at opening while the yen weakened after Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's resignation stoked speculation that his successor will raise government spending.
The Nikkei 225 index opened at 43,451.07, up 432.32 points, while the yen softened 0.7% to 148.46 versus the US dollar. The benchmark 10-year Japanese government bond yield rose 0.5 basis point to 1.575%. The 5-year yield slid 0.5 BP to 1.1%. Ishiba's relatively conservative fiscal stance has been seen as a positive for the JGP market, where yields are relatively low globally, though Japan's massive debt pile and widening fiscal deficits continue to raise concerns. The JGB market was dealt a blow in mid-July, when Ishiba's coalition suffered a considerable defeat in upper house polls. Outsider parties campaigning on tax cuts and increased spending gained seats, and speculation swirled for weeks about pressure on Ishiba to step down. That all came to head when Ishiba, saying he must take responsibility for election losses and instructing the LDP to hold an emergency leadership vote.
Hundreds of Tunisians gathered in Sidi Bou Said, a coastal town near the capital Tunis, to welcome the arrival of the Global Sumud Flotilla.
The delegation from the flotilla included climate activist Greta Thunberg and several other prominent pro-Palestinian figures. Organizers of the Maghreb Sumud Flotilla confirmed a revised departure date after vessels from the global flotilla were forced to turn to Barcelona due to strong winds, spending the night there before resuming their journey. Upon arrival in Tunisia, the ships will require some repairs and will await other boats to regroup before continuing their planned journey. Having sailed from Spain, the flotilla is part of a broader international humanitarian mission aimed at challenging the Israeli blockade of Gaza and delivering essential aid.
After 7 days of sailing from Barcelona to here, we faced storms, we faced a lot of things, but nothing compared to the difficulties that we will face ahead of us, because nothing, no risk that we take on our mission compares to a single day or to a fraction of the risk that the Palestinian people in Gaza have to endure every single day.
Representing groups from 44 countries, the vessels reached Tunisia on Sunday, their final stop before heading to Gaza. The flotilla had been at sea for nearly a week after departing from Barcelona. Organizers are currently finalizing the necessary documentation. Once complete, the ships will remain docked in Tunisia for 2 days to restock supplies, including food and water, before setting sail for Gaza on September 10th in an effort to break the Israeli siege.
We are going with dozens of boats that represents more boats that ever attempted to break the siege of Gaza combined, with more people that ever attempted to break the siege combined, and we are going there in a humanitarian solidarity, non-violent mission that is combined with the global uprising that you're doing here in Tunisia and everywhere else in the world.
Israel has argued that the naval blockade it imposed in 2007 is necessary to stop weapons being smuggled to Hamas. It wrongfully described other attempts to break it, including one that included Thunberg in June as a propaganda stunt in support of Hamas. It is fighting a case at the International Court of Justice in The Hague that states that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza.
Carlos Alcaraz ends the reign of Jannik Sinner with a 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 victory to claim the US Open title again and tighten his grip on the era-defining rivalry between the torchbearers of the men's game.
In a perfect echo of the triumph that first propelled him to the world #1 spot in 2022, Alcaraz's New York title took him back to the top of the rankings as the 22-year-old Spaniard displaced Sinner and lifted his Grand Slam trophy haul to 6. It made him the second youngest man in the professional era that began in 1968 to win 6 majors after Bjorn Borg, and also snapped Sinner's staggering 27-match winning run at hard-court majors to dent the Italian sparkling season. The Spaniard, who turned heads with his surprise buzz cut at the start of the tournament, departs as the toast of New York on a 13-match winning streak with 7 titles and only 6 defeats in 2025. As grey clouds hovered over the iconic Arthur Ashe Stadium, Alcaraz continued to deliver the sunshine tennis that has lit up Flushing Meadows over the last fortnight, consolidating an early break by faking a drop to hit a winner that wrong-footed Sinner. He beamed after pulling off an outrageous half volley at the net and wrapped up the opening set shortly afterwards, finishing it off with a big serve that Sinner crashed into the net as the Italian's metronomic precision briefly deserted him. With US President Donald Trump watching from a luxury box in the stands and adding another layer of spectacle to the third straight Grand Slam final between the duo this year, Sinner hit back to take the next set after saving an early break point. After dropping his first set of the slam, Alcaraz turned up the power and bludgeoned his way to a 5-0 advantage in the third set before Sinner got on the board and the Spaniard closed it out with a monster serve. Sinner conjured up 2 breathtaking volleys in the opening game of the fourth set to roaring applause and held serve after being pushed to the limit again, but he cracked under pressure and handed the crucial break to Alcaraz in the 5th game. Resembling a flamingo in full flight in his bright pink vest, Alcaraz soared ahead to secure the victory on his 3rd match point and celebrated by raising his fists before a warm embrace with his rival and wild celebrations with his team. A dejected Sinner was left to contemplate another Grand Slam final loss to Alcaraz this season after coming up short in their French Open epic in June, although he bet the Spaniard to take his Wimbledon crown the following month.
On a sunny Saturday, a group of young people hike up the Dirandi mountain just outside of Malawi's second city, Blantyre. They carry up ropes, harnesses, and helmets.
After a safety check and fastening their ropes, a young man dons a helmet, covers his hands in chalk, and starts scaling the wall, leading the climb to set up a rope to the rock face. After that, the other young men and women in the group take turns to climb up and abseil down the wall, belaying each other in turn. Until recently, rock climbing has not been a popular sport in this small southern African country. But according to Climb Malawi, a local climbing group, its membership has reportedly increased by 150% in the past 2 years, with a substantial portion of new members being under the age of 25. According to some of the members from the Climb Malawi Blantyre division, there is another division in Lilongwe. They enjoy the exercise, social aspect, and the mental challenge it presents. For many, it also clears their heads, and they see it as a form of therapy.
Being outdoor, I constantly have to switch languages because I'm talking to different people. Even the words I use, I constantly have to change them. So you learn a lot of adaptability when you're out here.
And even though participation in many sporting codes are divided by gender, these young Malawians enjoy the fact that anyone can participate. Priscilla Kandiro, a member of Climb Malawi, enjoys climbing and busting the perception that is an activity solely for men. The changes these climbers see in themselves is not just to decompress, it's also how they relate to others and how climbing teaches them to be more adaptable. When they're not outside climbing, this group of young people train on a bouldering wall at a local gym, working on their technique. This group of youths are hopeful about the sport's future in the country, and indeed the region, as they participate in a sport that is challenging both physically and cognitively, and one that offers a warm social environment. These young climbers are hoping to keep reaching new heights.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.